Hey everyone, it's Casey, and today we're going to go through a 60-minute Hatha yoga class, and the focus is going to be on the hamstrings. So we're going to really focus on the backs of our thighs and being able to create some extra opening and some length there. But we'll also kind of focus on different areas around the hip to help create more space into the hamstrings as well. So prop-wise today, all we're gonna need are 2 blocks and 1 yoga strap, okay? So just have those available somewhere nearby. We are gonna start off on our backs today, and I wanna make sure that all the props are available from that reclined position so you don't have to roll up and get back down once we start moving through the different positions. So having these things available, slowly make your way down into a nice reclined position. So as you come down onto your back, we're going to take a supported bridge pose. So reach over for one of those blocks. And I would suggest keeping your block on one of the lower 2 settings for the beginning. Okay, but if you really feel inclined to take the highest setting, you're more than welcome to do that. Just make sure it feels good in your body. With the knees bent, feet on the floor, hips lift off the ground, take your block at your desired height and just place it underneath your sacrum. And if you're like, what is a sacrum? Okay, think about the back of your hips, the back of the pelvis, okay, right where the base of the spine starts to conjoin with the back of your hips. Okay, there's a nice flat surface there. It's not your glutes, it's not your lower back. It's that space right between, like a little shelf. And once you feel that block underneath it, fully supporting, you're able to feel a sense of grounding and releasing. As the pelvis is supported by the block, you feel the spine slowly trickling down from the hips and just allowing a little bit of decompression through the lower back. So what often gets overlooked when it comes to focusing on a specific area of the body, such as the hamstrings, is we'll just go all in on the hamstrings and forget what it's connected to. So we're going to also focus a little bit on opening around the hips. We're going to focus on opening into the lower back and even opening all the way down into the calf muscles. And that way we can start to feel more of an even opening and opening the surrounding spaces that might also be contributing towards tension or tightness within the body. So give yourself a moment here to work out any little fidgets and movements until you feel a little more grounded and connected into the moment. And then from here, we're going to establish a little bit of breath work together. We're going to start with a box breath. And box breath is going to separate the breath into 4 equal parts. The inhale, the pause at the top of the inhale, the exhale, and the pause at the bottom of the exhale. And we'll continue in that cycle, in that loop of breathing, where we're going to keep all 4 parts nice and even in length. We're going to start with the 4 count and slowly start to draw the breath a little bit deeper and adding our count out. So begin to exhale, let all of your breath release. And then through the nose, begin to breathe in for a 4 count. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4. Through the nose, exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath at the bottom. 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4. Adding on, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding the breath, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go to 6. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Relax your breath. Nice, easy rhythm and pace. Breathing in and out of the nose. Start to kind of recalibrate. Find the pace that feels most appropriate and a pace that you can maintain throughout the practice. Smooth and easy, nothing forceful or strained. And then lightly constrict the airways so you give your breath more of that ocean wave sound or Darth Vader breath. And just take a few here as you are. Notice how it feels, where the breath is moving, if there's any blockages or pauses in the breath. Work through some of that tension and start to smooth out the rough edges. Okay, we're going to open up a little bit into the front of our hips first, so that when we access the back side, we feel a little more loosened up. So starting by lifting your feet off the ground. If you don't feel stable on your block, lower it down or readjust it until it firmly supports the backs of your hips without having to hold on to your block. And then as the knees draw in, use your hands to pull the right knee as close to the chest as you possibly can. We're going to keep the right knee drawn in here. Don't let it move. Slowly begin to extend your left leg all the way out in front of you. Reach out through the foot and toes. And then as you reach forward through those left toes, you continue to pull your right knee into your chest. You're going to feel a nice activation into your left leg, but you're also going to feel a nice opening through the front of the left hip. So as you stretch the left toes forward, keep stretching them forward as you slowly relax the foot all the way to the ground, and then just kind of let the leg be heavy and relaxed. So instead of keeping it really active, I want you to just relax it here and just imagine that your foot is really heavy and it's just sinking towards the ground and creating this bow over the front of the hip, down through the quad, the knee, the shin, down to the foot. Continue to pull your right knee in towards your chest. Give yourself 3 slow breaths here. And just take in everything that you're feeling. One more breath. And then slowly release your right foot down to the ground. Bend both knees, walk the feet in, and just take a moment to pause. Feel the differences between the left front of the hip and the right front of the hip. We're going to get into that right side now. So let's lift both knees up, lifting the feet off the ground. And this time we're going to hug the left knee as close to the chest as we can. Keep it hugged in, hold it tight with the hands. Begin to slowly extend your right leg forward, reaching all the way out through the toes as much as you possibly can. Imagine you're trying to stretch them even a 1/4 of an inch more in front of you. Reaching and stretching, finding the length. And then as you maintain the length and maintain pulling the knee to your chest, let your right foot slowly touch down to the ground and then just relax into the leg, but feel the foot nice and heavy. It's trying to anchor in towards the floor, but the hands continue to pull that left knee closer and closer, maybe just holding it in place. Try to soften your shoulders, your elbows, and then soften all the muscles in your face. Find that ujjayi breath, that audible breath. We're just going to take a couple more here. And then slowly release your left foot down to the ground. Bend both knees, feet flat on the floor. And now observe, hopefully a little bit more balance restored into the front of the hips. Okay, if you want to lift your heels for more space, you can. Press through the feet, lift your hips, remove the block out from underneath you, set it out of your way. And then just let the spine melt back down, hips touch to the floor, heels touch to the floor. Open up your arms out to the sides and just rock your knees left and right. And as you do, you're kind of focusing on internal and external rotation in your hips. So you're getting that thigh bone to kind of pivot and rotate through the hip socket, finding different ways of movement and loosening up that lower back along the way. Okay, let's hug the knees to the chest when you're ready. And as you hug them in, you're creating a nice flexion in the spine. So now we're creating a lengthening into the lower back. We're creating a lengthening all the way around the back of the pelvis, maybe even slightly into the hamstrings at the sit bones. You can continue kind of swaying left and right here. All right, and as you sway to center, set the feet to the ground. We're gonna reach over for our straps now. We're gonna move into a little bit different kind of variation and leg setup here. So let's lift the right knee and take the strap, bring it around the ball of your right foot, okay? So notice the ball of the foot is different than the arch, okay? The arch, we kind of fall into that natural divot. The ball of the foot is more kind of the base of the toes, that nice little padding. We want that because that's going to help us create more flexion in our ankles, which is going to help us access more space into the calf muscles along with the hamstrings, okay? So right leg extends up. You're pulling back on the strap to get the toes to pull back, creating this nice bend into the ankle, exactly what we're looking for here. And as you press the right heel towards the ceiling, know that it is okay to have a bend into the knee as much as you need to keep your back flat and finding as much extension so we feel that full stretch into the backs of your hamstrings and into your calf muscles. Now, continue to hold on to the strap with your hands, but if you are tensing up really tight in your shoulders or your neck or your face, try to slide your hands down or loop them down onto the strap until your shoulders can relax and you take a little bit of the effort out. Okay, if you are fully extended through the top leg, you also have the option of drawing it in a little closer and then repeating those same steps. Now, once you have the top leg a little more established, you can play with the bottom leg. Your left foot can either stay right where it's at. This can be a really nice variation. Or if your body feels better to get full extension through the left leg, you even open up a little bit more through the left hip. You can stretch your left leg long out on the ground. And if you do, I want you to try to be active through both legs. So reach out through the heels, the toes are pulling back, and find as much extension as possible through the top leg, maybe pulling it in. Give yourself just a couple more breaths in this position and just kind of take it all in. What are you feeling? How can you move some of this energy with your breath? Now, you're gonna keep your strap on your foot. We're not gonna take it off, but all we're gonna do is we're gonna release our hands from the strap. And now we're using the strength of our hip flexors to be able to pull the leg in closer towards our body, but we're also really activating into the quad and extending out through the heel to find more length into the hamstrings. So keep reaching up through the heel, toes pulling back, and then feel the leg trying to pull in closer towards the upper body. And then you're gonna really feel the front of that right hip kind of turn on. Holding here for 3, 2, 1. Let's reach up with the hands, grab a hold of the strap again. And now you're gonna take both ends of the strap up into your right hand. I kind of like to reach up a little bit as high as I can, but while keeping my right shoulder grounded on the floor, okay? Now with the top leg, we want some external rotation. So we're gonna start it here. Feel your toes angle to the right, heel kind of swings out to the left, and you're gonna feel it all the way up into your hip socket, okay? Thigh bone is gently rotating in the hip socket. And then you're gonna keep the leg extended as much as possible and continue to kind of pull in towards your torso as you open the leg out to the right side. Now, if your left hip peels off the ground, I want you to back out of the stretch until the hip can reground, okay? We want that grounding point, and then we take the leg open as much as we can while keeping the left hip in that grounded point. Okay, we don't want it to lift and then just feel kind of this uneven teeter-totter. We want an anchor point, so all of that stretch and attention, all that energy gets focused exactly where we want it to go, which right now we're opening into the hamstrings, yes, but we're now starting to get a little bit more into the inner hips and groin area. Left leg can stay long in front of you, or bend the knee, foot on the floor, if that helps in any way to alleviate some tension or helps it become more accessible to you, okay? If it feels better, you can take your left hand on top of the left hip to help keep it grounded. And with your leg out to the side, continue to pull it closer towards your torso. And imagine we're still emphasizing that external rotation in the hip, so heel is angling towards the ceiling and toes are angling towards the floor on that right side. We're just gonna take about 1 more breath here. Okay, so if you feel like you absolutely cannot stabilize from this position, I want you to lift the leg up a little higher first. Then you're just gonna simply release the strap, but keep your leg in the same position or as close to that position as you can. Left hip stays down, right leg extends out through the heel, and really focus on the heel angling up, the toes angling down, feeling that external hip rotation, but now you're doing it solely with that mind-body connection rather than the leverage of your hands. Let's take 1 more breath. Use your right hand to grab the strap ends again and help to lift the leg all the way back up to center. Now we're gonna switch. Left hand is gonna grab a hold of the strap ends. Left shoulder stays down, but I'm holding high up on the strap, as high as I can. Right arm can just fall out to the side. So we wanna establish our edge before we go into the depth of this one, okay? So really reach up through the heel, extend as much as possible. It's okay if there's a bend. Pull it in towards the torso. Find your level of intensity that feels appropriate for you. Now, once you feel like you've established this new edge, you're gonna take the leg only about a couple inches over to the left side. It's not very much at all, not a lot of movement. Now you're gonna start to feel the side of your leg light up. If you don't, chances are we're not extending out through the heel enough, or we're not pulling the foot closer towards the torso enough. So continue to kick out and pull in as the leg goes over just slightly to that left side. And you're gonna start to feel your IT band. It's gonna run all the way down the length of that right leg, all the way on the outside. If you wanna give a little more of an assist, right hand can come to the top of that right thigh bone, right where it kind of meets in the hip socket. And I kind of like to imagine lengthening that right hip socket forward as I pull the strap in and feel the reaching through the heel. Let's take a couple more deep breaths here. Last deep breath. Now, you're gonna keep the leg in the shape, but release your hands so you're no longer holding onto the leg or onto the strap ends. And then reach out through the heel, toes pulling back, and then keep the leg where it is. You're just gonna feel it trying to pull closer in towards your torso. Reach out through the heel. Nice and active here. Hold for 3. Keep breathing. Relax the muscles in your face. 2. 1. Grab a hold of the strap ends, lift the leg back to center, bend the knee. Let's release the strap away from your foot and just stretch your right leg out to meet the left, both legs long in front of you. Right leg's gonna feel a lot longer. Go-go gadget legs right now. Okay. And if you are too young for that quote or that reference, okay, I don't know what to tell you. You can look up Inspector Gadget. All right, let's do the other side. We're gonna start with the knees bent, feet on the floor. This is a nice setup variation. Left knee towards the chest. Let's take our strap and take it around the ball of your left foot. Remember, not the arch, the ball of the foot. And then extend your left leg towards the ceiling as much as you would like. Okay, feel it out. Once your body, if you're shaking, I don't want you to be sitting there in a state where you're shaking and holding your breath. You can back off just a little bit. A little shake is okay, right? But we want to maintain breath. So just make sure you're at that safe threshold. Listen to the language of the body. Now, as you reach up through the heel, you're going to pull the leg as much as you can in towards your torso. Relax your shoulders. Relax your face. Maybe create little loops with your hands on the strap to help kind of hold on, but without too much intensity or tension in the body. Now, as you keep your left leg here, your right foot can stay where it is, or you can extend your right leg out. It's entirely up to you. Feel out the differences. Notice which one feels better for you. Same, but different. So give yourself a few breaths, really activate through the quad, reach up through the heel, toes pulling back, and I'm pulling on the strap just slightly, just to get more of that length all the way down into the calf muscles, even into the Achilles, down into the tendon. 2 more breaths, feel it out. Back of the hips are nice and grounded. Okay, top leg is gonna stay here. I'm just gonna release my hands from the strap. Okay, so now the leg is fully supporting itself. The hip is supporting itself. Reach up through the heel, toes pull back. You might already feel enough right here. Maybe you start to feel the leg pull closer and closer towards your torso. Activating into the leg, holding for 3, 2, 1. All right, use your hands, reconnect with the straps or strap end. Left hand now is gonna hold on to both ends of the strap. Shoulder stays down on the floor, okay? Pull the leg in. Now before we move, we're gonna create the rotation in the hip socket. So we're gonna use the foot as a reference point, but the rotation's happening thigh bone in the hip. Okay, top foot starts to angle out to the side, out to the left, heel kind of angles in. Feel that in your thigh bone. Thigh bone rolls out to the left, and then as you extend out through the heel, pull the leg in and open it out to the left side. Let it kind of swing open. Right hip stays on the floor. Don't let it curl off the ground. Reaching out through both of your feet if your right leg is also extended. Otherwise, you can keep the foot flat on the ground perfectly fine. Now with the leg out to the side, keep reaching through the heel, and let's emphasize that external rotation. So toes down, heel up, pulling the leg in as you feel that rotation all the way up into your hip. Let's take a couple more breaths here. Okay, now your leg is gonna stay where it's at. If you need to back off a little bit, you can back off. But you're just gonna release a hold of the strap ends, but your leg stays and it supports itself. Reach out through the heel up, toes angle down, leg is pulling closer towards your torso, right hip stays connected to the earth, holding here for 3, 2, 1. Left hand reaches over for the strap ends, help to lift the leg all the way back upright to center. With the leg above you, let's switch hands. Right hand holds on to the ends of the strap. Reach up through the heel, toes pulling back. Pull the leg in a little bit closer first. Feel this new edge that you're establishing because we've opened up a lot into the hamstrings already. So you might feel that you're able to go in a little bit deeper here for this next round. Now, as you reach up through the heel, toes pulling back, we're gonna keep pulling in, but take your leg just a couple inches over to the right side. Move really slow. The slower you move, the more you're gonna connect to all the little sensations. Once you feel it, you'll know, breathe nice and deeply. Reach through that heel, toes are pulling back. And if you wanna give yourself a little assist, left hand towards left hip crease, pressing that left hip crease forward as you pull the strap closer towards your upper body. And just take a few more breaths here. Last one. And now release your hands from the strap and from your hip. Keep the leg where it's at. Reach out through the heel, toes are pulling back. Feel the leg pulling closer towards your torso and just slightly over to that right side, holding here for 3 deep breaths. 2, 1. Hands reach up for the strap again, bring it all the way back up to center. Bend the knee, let's release the foot from the strap. You can set the strap out of your way, off to the side. As your legs lengthen, go ahead and give them a good shake. And hopefully now we feel a little more balanced and recalibrated through our hips and hamstrings. All right, knees draw to the chest, arms pull them in, swaying left and right. Okay, hold the backs of your thighs. You can either roll over to a side, fetal position, and just press up into a seat, or as you hold the thighs, rock forward and back as many times as you'd like until you come up into a seated position. But we'll meet in the seat, crossing the legs, spine is lifted, variation of your choosing. Begin to close your eyes. Lift all the way up through the crown of your head. Shoulders relax down away from the ears and feel a rooting down into the sit bones. So if you don't feel your sit bones, maybe try leaning back through the torso a little bit until you feel the base of the pelvis, those 2 little bony points connecting down into the earth, and then lift all the way up through the crown of your head. Belly button gently draws up and in. Join your hands together at heart center here for a moment and just set an intention for your practice. I know we're about halfway through here, but just feeling the connection to yourself and maybe what you're wanting to explore for the rest of the practice or even your day. Okay, gently blink open through the eyes. We're going to move into a little bit of spinal work so we can help loosen up through the torso and get a little bit deeper into some rotation and some side bends to loosen up through the hips. So start with your hands cupped over the knees. We're going to go through some seated cat-cows. Inhale, begin to scoop your heart forward and up. Feel your sit bones start to tilt back, getting this nice extension through the spine. You can even look up at the ceiling. And then exhale, you're gonna round your back. Start to kind of curl your spine back, tuck the tail under, curl the chin into your chest. Inhale, scoop the heart forward and up. Feel the chest lift, so feel the sit bones draw back, a nice opening through the chest. And then exhale, rounding, curling. Feel the flexion in your spine. Go through a few more rounds on your own and feel free to add in any movements that resonate with you. And then on your next inhale, let's make our way back into a nice neutral spine. Arms reach up, deep breath in, and exhale, twist to the right side. Left hand cups over the right knee, right fingertips to the ground right behind the hips. Lift the spine up, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, twisting open to that right side, twisting, rotating ribs, chest, maybe even through the neck. 2 more breaths here, lifting taller on an inhale, moving a little deeper on an exhale. Last one, deep breath in, and a deep breath out. Continue to hold on to the knee. Back hand reaches up towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath in, spine lifts a little taller. And then exhale, lean over to that left side, stretching the top arm overhead. Couple breaths, feel the reaching from the fingertips and that point of opening all the way down into the lower right side body. 1 more breath here. Inhale, come all the way up, unravel as arms stretch high over your head, coming through to center. And then exhale, twist to the left side. Right hand cups over that left knee, left fingertips to the ground right behind the hips. Lift the spine up. Let's take a deep breath in, nice elongation. And exhale, rotating open to that left side, ribs and chest. Maybe look back over the shoulder. Let's take a couple more breaths here, lifting taller on each inhalation, and then melting a little deeper on the exhale. 1 more here, deep breath in, and a deep breath out. Continue to hold on to the knee, back hand reaches up, take a deep breath in, lifting through the spine, all the way through the crown and fingertips, and exhale, lean over to the right side. Few breaths, stretching out through the fingers, make sure your chest isn't closed down, we're opening up. Last breath here. Inhale, come all the way up, unravel as the arms stretch high over your head, and then bend your elbows, pull the elbows back as the arms sweep all the way down to your sides. Okay, let's come into a tabletop position. As we come into tabletop here, we're gonna do a little bit of releasing into the calf muscles. So let's lift the right knee off the ground, and you're gonna take the right knee and you're gonna start to dig around into your left calf muscles. Start to kind of massage into different spaces, left and right side. And I want you to find I'm gonna call it a sweet spot, but it's gonna feel like maybe a not so sweet spot. And then once you find that not so sweet spot, let your right knee just sink heavy as though it's trying to melt down into that ball of tension. You can keep the right knee just bent, keeping the legs still. Or if you want to play, you can bend and straighten your right knee. You can also create little circles, and you're basically just using your kneecap to kind of draw in a little bit deeper into that tension and finding the little different movements, helping to kind of massage into that knot. And then let's go ahead and release the right knee down to meet the left. You're gonna stretch your left leg back and tuck your toes on the ground. Okay, so 2 options. First option, just reach back through the heel, straightening the leg, and activate as much as you can through your quads so you get real extension through your leg. You're gonna feel a nice stretch into your calf muscles. If you want a little bit more, think like downward dog, but just with that left leg emphasize. Your right knee can stay bent, just kind of hanging out here, but you're really kind of driving the left heel in the direction of the ground. It doesn't have to get anywhere close to touching. But as you do that, you're stretching the lower part of the leg. 1 more breath. Lower both knees back down to the ground. And then we're gonna start to slowly work into the other side. So let's lift the left knee and start to dig that left knee around into your right calf muscles. Feel around in there. Find that. Sometimes there's multiple spots that you're like, man, I can be here all day. And if that's the case, just know that you can come back to it. For now, let's just find one of those spots and let yourself just melt heavy into it. Make sure to take really deep breaths here. You can stay still or add little bits of movement through that top leg to create kind of a kneading into that knot that you feel. The deeper you breathe, the more oxygen you're going to bring down into the muscles. Visualize where it's going. All right, and then go ahead and release your left knee down to meet the right. Right leg's gonna stretch back. Tuck the toes, reach back through the heel. Nice extension, almost as though you could lift the back of the kneecap as you reach back through the heel. Stay here or press back into kind of like a downward dog with that right heel reaching in the direction of the floor. One more breath. Slowly bring both knees all the way back down to the ground. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna switch just so you can get a better visual, but you can stay exactly where you are. We're gonna extend the right leg back nice and long behind us. And then turn your toes out to the right side, and we're gonna kick the leg out to the right side. So now we're strengthening into that outer hip, and we're gonna lower the right foot all the way down to the ground, kind of in this gate pose position. And then we're gonna tuck the left toes just so we can kind of use it as a push-pull kind of activator. Let your hips sink back towards the heel. And as you do, your right foot right now is grounded. We're gonna roll up onto the heel and feel the toes kind of angle up. And then come forward, replant the foot. Walk the hands forward slightly. And as you do, I want you to shift your body weight forward. Start to pivot as you lift the heel up. And as you lift the heel up, naturally your body's gonna wanna kind of go to the left side. Follow that. Walk your hands off to the left and just kind of sink into that right hip. And then bring the hips back up, replant the right foot, sink it back. As you sink back, maybe roll up onto your right heel. By the way, if you don't like having your left toes tucked, you can untuck them anytime. Come forward, replant the foot, walk the hands forward, lift the heel, maybe sink in through the right hip. Let's do that one more time. Hips back up, heel grounds, sink back, maybe roll up onto the heel as the toes angle up. Coming forward, plant the foot, walk forward, lift the heel, maybe sink into your hip. And then hips back, nice and neutral. Think tabletop, but your right leg stays kicked out to the side. We're gonna slowly lift it all the way back out to the side, nice and tall. Sweep it back, and then reconnect it back down into your tabletop position, okay? Same thing, other side. From tabletop, left leg stretches back nice and long. Reach out through the heel, parallel with the ground. Toes start to open out to the side, opening up through the hip. Then kick the leg out to the side. Keep it nice and lifted. And then slowly lower it all the way down to the ground until you can root the sole of the foot to the floor. Right foot can stay, or you can tuck the toes. Let your hips sink back. And as your hips sink back, I want you to start to roll up onto the heel, toes start to lift up. Noticing how the hips and the foot work in conjunction with one another. Coming forward, replant the foot. Walk the hands forward, then lift the heel. Walk your hands slightly off to the right and just sink through the hips as much as it feels good. Hips pull back as you reground through your left foot. Sinking back towards your right heel, roll up onto your left heel. Toes point up. And then coming forward, reground the foot, walk forward, lift the heel, maybe sink into your left hip. One more round, hips pull back, heel grounds, sink back, maybe lift up through the toes, rolling up onto the heel. Deep breaths. Coming forward, reground the foot. Hands walk forward, maybe slightly out, lifting the heel, melting into the hip. All right, hips pull back, reground the sole of the foot, hands plant underneath your shoulders. Now activate your left leg. If you need to walk it in, you can. Lift it all the way up and out to the side. Sweep it back, and then reconnect it back down, tabletop position. All right, from here, we're gonna slowly tuck the toes and walk our way to the front of the mat into a forward fold position. So you're just walking the feet forward, feet about hips width, generous bend into the knees, okay? I want you to take a really deep bend so we can really focus on relaxing our lower back. When we straighten the legs, chances are the tail tucks under and we get this rounding and this hunching. Bend the knees more, alleviate the spine so you can just drape and hang out. Hands can stay resting heavy on the floor, or you can wrap around opposite elbows. Maybe you sway side to side. One more breath. Sway yourself back to center, arms release if they're bound. Lengthen the spine, take a deep breath in, really draw the heart forward away from the hips, and then hug the backs of your legs. Exhale, draw yourself in, just a couple more breaths. Your variation, you can hold the backs of the legs, you can grab a hold of the big toes, whatever feels most appropriate for you. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, come all the way up to standing with the flat back. Reaching up tall, open up the chest. And then take your hands, bring them together, heart center. So let's grab our blocks and make sure that they're available near the front of our mats. So you can grab them here real quick. Have them near the front of the mat so we don't need to go to the back of the mat to chase them down. And then as we stand back at the top of the mat, arms reach up, take a deep breath in, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. We're gonna take a big step back with the left foot. Coming into a nice long lunge, gently drop the back knee, release your toes. Let's grab the blocks. If your hamstrings are tight, the blocks can be nice to lift up away from the ground, creating a little extra space and length. So we can walk the front foot forward just a few inches and then roll on the heel as the toes lift up and back, straightening out that front leg. If you have trouble straightening the front leg with your hands on the ground, blocks can be a nice lift, or they can just be nice in general, just to have extra space. Otherwise, you can also do the same thing, hands on the ground, if the flexibility allows. Long spine on an inhale, and then exhale, melting over. Give yourself just a couple more breaths. Now lengthen your spine here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna feel the front heel press down into the ground, okay? As the front heel presses down into the earth, I want you to imagine, it's not gonna move, but I want you to imagine trying to drag your heel back towards your back knee. Front heel is trying to pull back towards the back knee. It might create a little micro bend into the front knee. That's okay. We're activating those hamstrings. We're trying to pull it back for 3, 2, 1. Relax the leg. Now let's wiggle the foot in a little bit, rebend into the knee. As you rebend into the knee, option to have blocks underneath the hands. I'm gonna lift my back knee, tucking my toes, and then I'm gonna walk the hands forward, and I'm gonna think standing split. So if you have a hard time straightening the leg with the hands on the ground, use blocks underneath your hands. Back leg lifts up, and try to draw your torso as close to the standing leg as possible. So let's feel out a difference here. First, I want you to let your top hip kind of open up. So it's opening as you reach it up and drawing in. So this is more of an open hip standing split. Draw, if you feel like you need more balance, walk the hands more forward. If you feel you want more intensity, walk the hands closer to the standing leg. Now let's close the hip. You're going to slowly start to drop the left leg down a little bit, flex into your ankle on that top leg, and notice how your toes are probably still pointing to the side. We want them to point down towards the floor, so I want you to drop the left hip down, squeeze your inner thighs until you feel the toes point towards the earth, and then you can lift up through the heel. You're not going to be able to go as far. It's okay. One more breath. Now lengthen the spine. As the spine lengthens, hands underneath the shoulders to the floor or to blocks. You're going to let the hip open as you lift the leg a little higher, but keep your spine lengthened forward. Then take a deep breath in, and then exhale, you're going to kick the leg over to the left side and rainbow it down to the ground and let it touch. Inhale, you're going to lift it back out to the side and all the way back up to center. And then exhale, let it rainbow over to the right side and down. Let it touch. Inhale, lift it all the way back up to center. Nice and tall. Exhale, rainbow it out to the left and down. Touch. Inhale, lifts it up. Exhale, takes it to the right and down. Touch. One more round. Inhale it up. Exhale it over to the left and down. Tap. Inhale it up. Exhale it over to the right and down. Touch. Inhale it up, standing splits. Now, long spine. You're going to draw the left knee to the chest and then just set it down to meet the right. Forward fold. Just let yourself hang over here. Take a deep breath in. Open up your mouth and let it out. Long spine. Inhale. This time you're going to step back with your right foot. Right foot steps back, readjust as much as you need until front knee is over the ankle, and then gently drop the back knee, release your toes. Maybe grab your blocks here to either side of the foot, maybe hands stay on the ground. Walk the foot forward a few inches, and then roll on the heel, toes pull back. Make sure the leg is straight. If it's not straight, use your blocks. With the toes pulling back, nice long spine, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, melting over. Few breaths. Feel into the sensations. Long spine, inhale, hold here and breathe. Front heel is going to press down into the ground. As the front heel presses down, imagine energetically trying to drag it back towards the back of your mat. Maybe give a little micro bend into the knee. Holding for 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and relax it. Wiggle the foot back in and rebend the knee, planting the foot down. With or without your blocks, tuck the back toes, lift the knee. You're going to walk the hands forward, standing split. Back leg lifts up and drawing your torso in towards the standing leg as much as you feel comfortable. Try to get the standing leg straight. Use blocks as needed. First, let the hip open as you stretch high up through the top toes. And just feel it. Deep breath. One more here. Then start to just lower the right leg a little bit, flex to your ankle, and then turn the toes down by lowering the right hip as much as needed, squeezing gently through inner thighs, and then you can work on just lifting up through the heel as you draw in. One more breath. Now, long spine here. You're gonna point through the toes, lift the leg, let the hip open slightly. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, kick the leg to the right side and let the toes tap all the way down to the ground. Inhale, lift it all the way out and back up to center. Full range of motion. Exhale, bring it over to the left and down, tap. Inhale, lift it all the way back up like a rainbow. Exhale, kick it out to the right and down, tap. Inhale it back up. Exhale to the left and down, tap. Inhale it up. We're going to go through that one more round. Exhale to the right and down, tap. Inhale it up. Exhale left and down, tap. Inhale, lift it up. Now, long spine, start to draw the right knee in towards the chest, set the foot down to meet the left, and then you're gonna step your feet back and drop into a child's pose. Hips sink to the heels, head relaxes down, arms, shoulders, everything softens, releases. Let's give ourselves a few deep breaths here. Slow everything down. Release any trapped heat or energy. Last deep breath. All right, make your way up to a seated position, swing the legs around, and we're gonna cross the right leg in front of the left leg, setting up for kind of an easy seat forward fold, where we're gonna open up a little into the outer hips and glutes. If it's too uncomfortable to stay in a seated position, you can take the same thing on your back just by crossing one ankle over and work on pulling in with the back flat, okay? Otherwise, right leg crossed in front of the left. You can either keep the feet angled back in, like just a normal easy seat, or walk the feet more forward so the shin bones run a little more parallel with each other, square pose. You can even kind of line up your ankles and your heels to get a deeper opening in your hips, okay? One extra step if you want it. Double pigeon, right ankle can stack on top of left knee, shin bones stacked on top of one another. Even if there's a gap of space, as long as it doesn't bring discomfort in any of your joints, you're good. Spine up nice and tall. Take a deep breath in. Unless you're doing this on your spine, just go there, take your time. If you are seated, stay, or exhale, slowly start to fold forward over your legs. You can use props. You can add dynamic movement, maybe add a little swaying, get a little deeper in there. We're gonna be here about 5 breaths. Ease in as much as it feels good. Let's take one more breath here. And then slowly walk your hands all the way back up. Drop back onto your hands to alleviate some pressure off the hips as you lean back. Uncross your legs, give them a nice little shake. And then we'll go right into that other side. As you sit back up, left leg crosses in front of the right. Same setup. You can take easy seat where the feet angle back. You can take square pose, shins parallel. Maybe line up the ankles and the knees, flexing the ankles. Or double pigeon, stack the left ankle on top of the right knee. Make sure the ankle joint is supported. We're not just resting the foot and letting the ankle kind of sickle. We wanted the ankle joint to be straight and supported. Lifting the spine from whatever variation you're in, or take it down onto your back with the left ankle crossed over right thigh. Otherwise, lift the spine, maybe fold forward on your exhalation. We're just gonna be here about 5 breaths, nothing too crazy. We've done a lot of opening today. Try to lengthen chest away from the hips. Maybe you add in some dynamic movement. Close your eyes if it feels all right, and just give yourself a few more really deep breaths. Just feel into your spaces. One more breath for good measure. Slowly walk your hands back up, drop them behind until you can uncross the legs. Shake them out, release them. All right. Well, you know what? We can keep the blocks where they are. Let's come forward, make your way down onto your back, feet to the ground with the knees bent, and walk the feet in towards the hips. About hips width, but you could play with the shape a little bit, okay? Make sure it feels appropriate in your body. Arms down to your sides, reaching in the direction of the feet. Ground down through the feet, and inhale, lift the hips off the ground. We get extension through the front of the hips. If you want more of the back bend here, which I highly recommend, start to walk the shoulders underneath, kind of tucking the shoulder blades. Bend the elbows. Press evenly through the feet, elbows, and shoulders as you try to drive into the ground and lift up through the ribs and chest. Press through the base of the big toes. Notice if the insides of the feet want to roll open. That'll help ground them down. One more breath. And then exhale, slowly lower it all the way back down. We're going to do that one more time. Give yourself another breath pause in between. Okay, feet are set up, arms to the sides. Press to the feet, inhale, lift the hips. Breathing. Tuck the shoulders, bending the elbows. The bending the elbows, this is a less traditional form, but I like it to help access more space. Press to the feet, elbows, and shoulders. Drive and lift hips, ribs, chest. Ground through the balls of the big toes. That padding at the base of the big toes is rooted into the earth. One more breath. And then slowly melt the spine all the way back down. You can untuck the shoulders, set the feet, sway the knees from side to side. And then hug the knees to the chest when you're ready. You can continue rocking left and right. Let's keep the right knee hugged in. The left leg stretches out nice and long on the ground. Grab the knee with your left hand. Right arm falls to the side. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, twist. Guide the knee to the left and down. Your head can roll over to that right side. Just one more breath. Head to center, knee to center, both knees up, switching sides. Hug the left knee as the right leg extends, holding the knee with your right hand left to the side as you take a deep breath in. And then exhale, twist. Pull it to the right and down while keeping left shoulder grounded. One more deep breath in. One more deep breath out. Head to center, knee to center, both knees up. And then we're going to slowly release into Shavasana. You can stretch your legs long. If you want to take blocks underneath the backs of the knees for support, you can elevate the knees, place your blocks, and just let them stay in that elevated position. But just let your arms and your legs kind of splay off the mat, creating space. Open up through the front of your chest. Work out your last fidgets. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath together. So exhale, let everything out. Take a slow breath in, filling up from the bottom to the top, expanding in all directions, holding briefly at the top of the breath, and then just open up your mouth and let everything out. Releasing all tension, all effort, and all control. And we're just going to be here for a couple minutes. We're not going to be here super long. So if you feel like you want a longer Shavasana today, now would be a good time to just hit pause and make sure that you have the entirety of your Shavasana to enjoy as you please. Otherwise, just take the next couple minutes and let yourself be. Begin to slowly deepen your breath and allow some of that energy and movement to trickle down into your fingers, your toes, maybe rocking your head side to side. Begin to stretch the arms over your head, reaching from hands to your feet. And then draw the knees to your chest. Sway a little bit. And then just roll over to either side. Begin to press through the top hand and guide yourself all the way up into a comfortable seated position of your choosing. Spine up, eyes closed, hands together, heart center. And just take a moment here to thank your bodies for all that they do for you. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide today. Much love and much gratitude. Thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully you feel nice, relaxed, and open. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'll be seeing y'all soon.